Hey, what's up guys? It's Technical Tim here, and I want to thank everyone so much who's been liking all my videos and subscribing to the channel, and I'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up, or if you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Sorry, I'm not feeling too well, but I'm a little tired, but I'm going to get out this a quick little recap video on the Ngannou and JDS card, and if you kind of just started following me on these videos, I pretty much just go through the whole card from a general and technical perspective and a betting perspective, and I kind of talk about what I was thinking before the fights and what I was thinking after the fight, and but overall I hit every pick that I tracked. I didn't do a final thoughts video, sorry about that, but if you bought my picks, you got them, and I was tweeting them out too. But you kind of had my general ideas, but there's a couple picks that I pulled the trigger on that ended up hitting. They're just kind of like some favorite parlays, but nothing huge. But Maya was kind of one of my big ones, and that one hit, so that was good. But I'll go through each one. But I think on my Bet MMA page, I risked like 5 units, and I think I won I hit every pick, and I think I won like 4 or something, or something around there. So it's a good night. And Untracked, I did well too, so I'm happy. And I'm not one of those guys who claims I did way better Untracked than Track. I tend to play more Untracked, and I'm usually profitable on those Untracked plays. But it's nothing. You're not missing out on too much. Generally, my if I do well tracked, those are the 80 to 90% of my plays. But every now and then I'll just kind of maybe see a line late, or I just kind of hit something and the line got too bad to where I don't want to tip it. I don't want anyone to pay $8 for some stale lines. Occasionally some lines will get worse, but I try to usually be closing lines, which is kind of something I'm proud of on my Bet MMA page. But anyway, enough of that. Let's go through the card. We did well, so I'll go through and kind of tell you how it all went. But Green and Albini. Before I go into this, I'm gonna say overall, I was really happy with this card because it ended off the month, and June was another profitable month for us. It was a solid month. We ended well, and what I'm happy about this card is not only the ones I got right, but the ones I stayed away from, because I had really solid stayaways, and I think that's what really separates good and bad bettors. I think the stayaways are honestly more important than the ones you hit. It's not always that hard to spot picks, good picks, and a lot of people can kind of have the same idea on why someone's going to win, but to know when to stay away, it's so important. Not that you should pass every card, because if you don't have enough picks, there's going to be wide room for variance, but you also need to have a balance to stay away from and not force picks. But sorry, I'm kind of ranting too much. Green and Albini. I was leaning Green pre-fight. I didn't play this one, and it kind of turned into a typical heavyweight shit show 50-50 fight. I feel like Albini could have won too. I don't really have much to say. I think this is a good pick. Even if I would have played Green, I wouldn't have been too happy with the pick, because it was just kind of a shit show, and I wouldn't have been confident going into the fight. I wouldn't have been confident with either guy. I think this was just a good example of a stay away, this fight. So I'm really happy I stayed away here, even though I would have won, but it kind of just turned into a 50-50 coin toss, so I don't want any part of a fight like that. I want round winners. I want I want more dominating wins. Round winners are what I look for. That's my philosophy. Whitmire Rebus. I actually untracked. I think I mentioned this in the podcast with Gugabe, how the Rebus subline was off, and so many people were on Whitmire here, which was just kind of I thought she was maybe going to win, but not to play her at -175. But I liked Rebus's grappling. Whenever I watched that EBI grappling thing on Fight Pass, she looked good. And it was kind of tough to know exactly how this fight was going to go because there was some lack of tape, but her jiu-jitsu was tight enough to where that plus 700 subline was so off. And I kind of regret, I mentioned it on the podcast. I think Gugabe actually tracked it, so good on him. I didn't track this, and I didn't like hit it big or anything. I didn't hit it like big or anything, but I threw like $50 on it, and so that won me a little bit of cash at plus 700. So hopefully you guys maybe saw that too and cashed in on that, so that's cool. Townsend and Dolce. This was just, like Dolce was a little bit better. He was a better grappler, and then he ended up knocking him out. I still wouldn't be interested in playing. I wasn't interested in playing that minus 400 line. He was too unproven, and they were both kind of regional level. And I still think Dolce, he doesn't do enough in top position. Like, eventually that stuff's not going to work. But still, like, he's not bad or anything. He just needs to be able to improve his offense, in my opinion. Because eventually you get to the UFC, and there's going to be guys you can't just take down and lay in guard. Moret and Gordon didn't have a play here. I actually almost played Moret as a dog. The more I taped, I thought he was just super scrappy and kind of could just like force a little bit of a brawl, and he actually has some skills on the floor. And if he wouldn't have done low man tendencies, and whenever I talk about that, I always talk about the importance of a high man because that's usually the guy winning the round. If he wouldn't have done low man tendencies of like pulling the guillotine or going for like subs off his back and just work to his feet, because he did work to his feet twice and got up both times he did it pretty quickly. But whenever you do stuff like that, you just are on your back and you're losing the round. So he gave it away. So I actually thought Moret was the value side, to be completely honest. I didn't play it though. But like, I think he can win that fight. Next fight, Morea and Anders. This is actually, I almost played Morea as a dog here too, and I don't think he was the value side. Like, I thought he could get some of those trip takedowns going because I had seen Tim Williams and Brendan Allen from LFA do it to Anders, but the more I watched, I liked Anders' overall sub-defense and grappling cardio enough to where if he didn't get subbed, he was going to win. And there's a lot of openings for big shots to be landed, so I figured Anders would probably just win. So I'm glad I ended up staying away from that. But I was starting to maybe like Morea as a dog, but I just stayed away. So solid stay away there. Newson and Ramos. I was also looking at Newson as a dog, but didn't play. Just a little too unproven and lack of tape for that one. And Ramos looked good, but I thought Newson looked good too. He was actually competitive and stayed composed. And yeah, I thought he could be like a decent fight. He's kind of old though, which is surprising. I think he's 30 years old, and this was his UFC debut. So yeah. So here's my first tracked play of the night, and I don't always like playing big favorites, but I parlayed him up. But he was one of my 3 overall plays that I had. I played Benefield over Craig, and I got him at wow. His line closed crazy. I got him at minus 250 because he was a big favorite. Then I think he was dropping down to that, and then he closed at minus 350. So people smashed him late. I didn't even notice that. But I played him, and my reasoning was I watched more of his fights, and he has really solid technical wrestling defense. I'm assuming he wrestled in high school. I don't know that for sure, but some of the tightness to his whizzers and the way he'll cross-face people off and the way he's digging underhooks. Usually I can tell if it's an MMA fighter or a jiu-jitsu fighter who learned wrestling techniques rather than someone who actually grew up learning the wrestling fundamentals. And I usually can tell with that. And Benefield looks like, I think he wrestled in high school. Maybe if someone checks or if someone knows, comment below. But I'm guessing he did. But I still didn't feel like I had to check that. I just saw on tape that his overall takedown defense is really good. And I don't like playing big favorites. So an example, Gordon Moret. That was if you're playing Gordon as a pretty big favorite, I don't agree with it because Gordon, because it's kind of like a fight where Moret can compete everywhere. Like he's well rounded enough to where shit can just happen. Like he's not completely outmatched on the feet. He's not completely outmatched with cardio. He's not completely outmatched on the floor. He can just compete, and Gordon's not like a huge specialist to where he can take advantage of a hole. They're both kind of freestyle fighters. So that's like a fight where I don't think Gordon should be such a huge favorite. But in Craig Benefield, Craig has one win condition. Where Moret as an underdog had more win conditions, in my opinion. He could have maybe landed something big. He could have maybe got some top position. He could have maybe gotten a submission. Where Craig is just submission or bust. And so him getting a submission even like 20% of the time, I know he's done it before, but he's like a Brian Ortega. It's just random stats happening. It's just like a random outlier of a bunch of events happening in a row. That's all it is. Eventually this shit goes back down to the median and he's not going to get those subs. But, and also that Kennedy guy who he subbed last is actually really green and Benefield isn't. But Craig, his only win path is submission, and I already think that's a guard sub's just a low percentage win path. And so I was like, okay, if he doesn't get the sub, he wins. So let's see if he can get the sub. Let me look at this on tape. And what I was seeing is Benefield, not only did he have good takedown defense, even when he's on the floor, he knew how to stifle subs. He wasn't going to get caught in triangle or an arm bar, in my opinion. And I felt like he also had good enough just a top game to kind of like float on top and good enough takedown defense, and he's a really hard power puncher to where he would defend takedowns and would have a lot of opportunities to punch Craig when Craig was laying in his guard. So like the way I saw this fight is I liked Benefield as a favorite more than like a Gordon because Craig only had a small win condition and I thought that win condition was low. And we're going to get to another favorite later who I played. Actually next fight who I played where this was kind of similar as well. So so I ended up playing Benefield at minus 250 and he kind of just stopped the takedowns pretty well and then murdered Craig, so I'm glad that hit. Dober Reyes, I also played Dober and I differentiated him from other favorites like a Moret or something. And with the way I saw this Dober Reyes fight was Reyes isn't going to sub Dober, and he's not going to win on the floor, and he wasn't going to win because he's just like, Reyes isn't that good of a wrestler, and Dober's way better on the floor. Dober was going to dominate the wrestling. And so on the feet, I also thought Dober was the way better striker who's busier and had better cardio, so he was going to win the fight no matter where it went. So I was like, so the fight just played out. Dober had just so many ways to kind of dominate. And then, so I was like, Reyes needs a KO. I was pretty much like, he needs a KO. He's not going to get a submission, and he doesn't have the overall well-roundedness in his game to beat Dober in a 15-minute fight. He just doesn't. And so I was like, and also on the striking, Dober can actually slip punches where Reyes is just too hittable, and that ended up happening, and Dober just took him out. So I was focused on his win condition. Like Craig's win condition was submission, and I pretty much, like it's MMA, maybe Craig could have got a KO, but it's just super low percentage. It's pretty much submission. And then with Reyes, his only win condition I thought was a KO. I just did not think he could win by submission, and I did not see how he could win a decision here. He was just going to get checkmated everywhere. And so I was like, okay, Dober has an amazing chin. He's never been I think got KO'd a really long time ago in like 2011, but he's never been like KO'd in the UFC. He's been in strung out kind of played out striking fights, like durability striking fights where he always looked fine, like a good chin. And I thought Dober does slip punches well enough to where he wouldn't get hit too clean. And so I just figured, because Dober has a good chin, and because Reyes also kind of slows down, he probably wouldn't get a KO. And because also Dober pretty much can get a bailout takedown whenever he wants. So if Reyes landed a big shot and hurt Dober, I feel like Dober could have just gotten a takedown and kind of bailed himself out of the situation. So I kind of just labeled Reyes's KO chance as being very low too. So I thought Dober should have actually been like 85% chance to win, and that's kind of what I labeled Benefield as well. So I played both of them as favorites. I don't like doing that much, but when there's a favorite, there's a big favorite, and the opponent only has one win condition, and you can kind of all of a sudden realize that the win condition's being a little bit overstated, then I think it's okay to play the favorite. There's other times people will just like parlay up favorites all the time where I don't agree with it, but playing a favorite or a dog, like some people have the philosophy of playing a dog of all dogs. Some people have the philosophy of going with like a lot of favorites and they only play dogs if they have a chance to win. I'm in the middle. I think you just need to I think it's a simple answer. I think you just need to look at the implied odds and say, are you getting an edge? And that's it. So I don't care if someone's minus 700 or if someone's plus 700. If we get an edge on the bookies, I'm going to take advantage and I'm going to go after it. That's the way I see it. So when you look at my Bet MMA page, you're going to see me on plus 250 favorites. You're going to see me, or plus 250 underdogs. You're going to see me on even money people. You're going to see me on minus 300s occasionally. Once you get up to like the minus 5 to 600 range, I'm probably going to be a little cut off there, but you could still theoretically get value there as well, to be honest. Like, think of a John Jones fight. John Jones is over 90% in a lot of fights, so if he's only minus 500, he's probably value. So yeah, sorry about that rant, but that's just kind of my philosophy on favorites, and those are the two favorites that I cashed in on, Dober and Benefield. And a couple of untracked plays. I had Dober and I had Benefield winning inside the distance too. I just untracked it small, like nothing huge or anything, so I was happy with that. Literally, I think almost all my bets hit. Oh, except one, which we'll get to. I'm talking untracked. Tracked bets, all those hit. Next fight, Pischel-Roberts. I feel so bad. I played this untracked. I was tweeting out. You guys probably heard me talk about it in the Gugabe podcast. We were talking about how this line was off. I forgot to track it. And when I tried to track it, you can't get the pick in once the card starts. And I realized I didn't track it, so I couldn't get the pick in. So I feel bad, but hopefully you guys follow me on Twitter and listen to that podcast and you're able to play Pischel, but I cashed in on him too. I only played a unit untracked though. I didn't go too heavy. I think Gugabe played 4 units on him, so he fucking smoked that line, so good for him. But yeah, like I didn't understand this line. I actually thought Roberts looked good. I thought his striking was better than I thought it would be. I thought Pischel was going to really piece him up standing, and Pischel had success standing, but Roberts did too. And then Pischel just had so many win conditions. That's the way I saw it. So yeah, Pischel ended up cashing some good shit there. Formiga Benavidez. I was leaning Benavidez, but I stayed away, and then I hit Benavidez live. I hit Benavidez live after round 1 as an underdog. I have no idea if that was a line error or something, but I can't get that much money in live betting because you get limited and stuff, and I can't get as much as like how much I play on a pre-fight unit. But I still hit Benavidez as the dogs. I just got a little side cash there, so Benavidez is a fucking amazing scrambler. That scramble he did off those 2 body triangle attempts were insane, and he did a lot of that versus Dustin Ortiz, but he's so good at that. And I thought Benavidez was going to win. I thought about... I wouldn't say... I'll be fair. I wouldn't say I was really close to playing him. When his odds started going down heavy today and almost became even money, I had thoughts in my mind, but I just go, fuck it, let's stay away. I like my other plays. Let's just stay away and not think about this one. But I ended up hitting him or hit him live anyways, so cool. Maya Martin, I just played Maya straight. And the reason I just played him straight is because I had talked about I thought the lines would close late, and they did. And I got him at minus 150 to 160 personally. I think I tracked him at minus 165. And yeah, so he kind of came down. So I just played him straight. Untracked, I also played him inside the distance, but most of my money ended up being on the money line, untracked. But because I just liked the line I ended up getting, so I didn't worry about inside the distance too much. But I ended up playing him inside the distance a little bit too untracked, and that didn't hit. I think that was the only untracked bet that I didn't hit. I feel like I bet someone live too that did. Oh, another one. I bet Moret live after round 1, and it didn't. It ended up not cashing. But I think those are the only 2 bets that I missed. I hit every other bet, so I had a really good night. But you can't get too high, and you can't get too low. You can't get too high on the good nights, and can't get too low on the bad nights. You just have to stay disciplined, and that's what will keep you making good decisions. But kind of just from a technical perspective on Maya Martin, the takedowns, I explained this on one of my videos, were there for Maya. The single legs were kind of just there like I expected. And where I was a little off but it was really because of this reason. But I had talked about how Martin doesn't really have the grappling game to tire you out too much, and I don't think Maya was all that tired. I saw people saying that in the 3rd round. I think he just took the 3rd round off because he got a quick takedown after that terrible stand-up in round 2. And and then he had a full minute to rest. And then in round 3, I think he just didn't get the takedowns or anything in round 3 because he knew he had the fight in the bag. So he was just kind of running away, which is fine in my opinion. But he kind of dominated the first 2 rounds, and the takedowns were there, that sweep single leg. And I talked about the takedown danger zone of where Maya gets you kind of pushed up towards the fence, and that's where he gets his work done. And Martin Martin did better in the defensive grappling than I thought he would. But the couple things I want to talk about is, one, Martin, I didn't think he had the grappling game to make you work too much, and he really didn't. But I feel like you're working the least amount if you're on top chest to chest and your opponent is just flat on the canvas. And Maya didn't get him there that much because Martin kept because he knows Maya because Maya gets takedowns up near the fence, he kept his back up against the fence, which is smart because you don't get fully flattened out, so it doesn't allow Maya to rest and give him passing opportunities, but you can't get your back taken. That was the key. And because he couldn't get his back taken, Maya's sub wasn't there. So Maya was like, okay, I'll just kind of mount you and leg lace you and kind of just sit here and land some shots. So it was really smart by Martin to do that, to kind of buy himself time to get through the round without getting submitted and then try to do something later. But I still think Maya was the value side there because I think he just took round 3 off personally. But I don't know. Comment below on your opinions on how you thought that fight went. But pretty much it went really similar to how I expected it to go. It was just the submission opportunities weren't really there because Martin literally hung out against the cage with his back against the cage for like 8 minutes of the fight. So Maya didn't really have opportunities to take that back. Because I think if he would have gotten that back, I think he would have subbed Martin still. So that hit too. And so those are the only 3 things I tracked. I played a couple of them straight and I kind of parlayed them up. Maya, Benefield, and Dober. So that was cool. Last fight of the night, Ngannou JDS. I'm glad I stayed away. I thought there could maybe be value in JDS as a dog, but I was too scared of Francis's power early, so I stayed away. Francis is fucking frightening. But yeah, that's kind of my overall view and kind of overall thoughts on the fights. And just so you know, I will be sending out in the next week. You're going to see a lot of changes to this YouTube channel, just the way it looks, like the production. I'm hoping it looks cool. And I'll send a lot of previews out this week. The last couple weeks have been really busy because I've had some like tough family emergencies going on. So sorry about that. So I've been trying to still get all the videos out and kind of talking about the fights just so you guys get good content. But that if you're thinking I'm slacking, that's kind of why. There's just some tough stuff going on at home. But I'll be sending out a lot of videos this week. And if you have any specific fights you want covered, really in depth, I'll do that. And what was I going to say? The only current play that I have on, and I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, but I probably will, but also for arbitrage opportunities, and I'll let you guys know what it is, because this line's really off for UFC 239, Jones and Santos, is Marcos. You can get her at plus 240 still, and that line is fucking off. I wouldn't even bet Gaudelia at even money. I wouldn't bet her at minus 115. She gasses way too hard. And Marcos has a scrappy grappling-based type of style. And I think that fight's just going to be a close split decision. Personally, that's what I think it's going to be. So I think that line's going to close. So even if you don't want to stick to that play, I would hit it now because it's going to be an easy arb. That line's going to close. So yeah, that's all I got. And thanks so much, guys. That's all it is for, sorry, I'm so tired. That's all it is for the JDS and Ngannou card, and you'll see video previews coming out for like the next week and everything. And Gugabe and I will do a podcast on Tuesday for the Jones Santos card. So thank you so much.